Here's the chord changes for the tune. So, just taking a look at blue bossa, and the one simple idea here is to try to play the melody, the simple 16-bar melody, in tenths. So, just to go over what tenths are, probably not necessary for most of you, but basically you could take a major scale, in this case let's just take C major, and you can play the first note and the third note, which would be C and E. Then you can play the second note and the fourth note, D and F. And a pattern emerges. This is called playing the scale in thirds. Sure, most of you have done it a million times. Okay, so thirds, you can play a melody in thirds, and it can sound very nice. Okay, but the sound we're going for today is just a little more wide open, and it's a little off the beaten path, which would be tenths. So if you take the C and E again in our example, from C up to E is called a third because when you're in the C major scale, you play the root, the second, and the third note. So that's why it's called a third. Now that distance relationship between the C and the E, we're going to maintain that between D and F, between E and G. So that's called thirds. You could play them melodically, or you could play them harmonically, which means just harmonically means playing them together. But again, if we look at the C and the E, how about if we take that E an octave higher? That's going to give us our tenth. So if I play the C major scale in tenths, it's a nice, wide, open, pretty sound. Almost at it. As you can tell, it's kind of new to me, so I've been working on it the last few days. But blue bossa is not in C. Blue bossa starts out, I think, in the key of C minor. It's three flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat. So again, if we look at the chords, we're going to start with the one chord in C minor. We're going to go to the 4 chord, F minor. 2 chord in C minor. The 5 chord, G7 altered, and then back to C minor. Now we have a little modulation. We're going to play the 2 chord, E flat minor 7. This is the 2 chord in D flat. The 5 chord in D flat, landing on the 1, D flat major 7. Now we've got a 2, D minor 7, flat 5 again. The 5 chord in C minor is G7 altered, landing on C minor. A 2, 5 in C minor to begin again. So the song is only 16 measures. This is kind of simple. Okay, so if we take a look at playing the blue bossa melody in tenths, okay, so what you can do is on YouTube you can slow the speed down. As you know, you can go down to 75% speed, 50% speed, I think even 25% speed. So if you want to slow this down just to see, but I'm basically on strings 1 and 4, and again I'm playing the blue bossa melody in tenths. So here we go. Now here it gets interesting because now instead of being in C minor, we're actually moving temporarily. It's kind of like half a step up, and we're changing from minor to major. So we're actually going to be in the key of D flat major for these 4 measures. Okay, now we're back. We're at a point now where we have a D minor 7 flat 5. We're back in the home key of C minor. So let's take one more look at that. Again, you can slow it down just to track it. But again, the whole way we're on strings. We're on strings 1 and 4. I think the only exception is toward the end, I might be on strings 1 and 5, but you'll see it. So here we go again. There's actually a G in the beginning, but I don't want to go too crazy, so I just play a simple G, 3rd string, 12th fret. Here's where we modulate up a half step, and we're actually going into D flat major for 4 measures. Here's the change in strings, strings 1 and 5. Now we're back home with this D minor 7 flat 5, which is the 2 chord in C minor. Okay. So this is kind of just playing the scale in tenths vertically. I guess it's called horizontally, actually. You know, horizontally in terms of this way instead of vertically. I think that's how they usually phrase it. I always found it confusing. But so if we look at the scale that I'm using, you can kind of hear that it's a major scale. So I'm using an E flat, which is the relative major to C minor. Blue Bossa is in C minor. I find it easier, quite a bit easier, to think in terms of major scales. I'm more familiar with them. So the E flat major scale on the 4th string is just. And likewise, if I stay in that key of E flat major, but I start on the 10th or the 3rd, the G, okay, so in other words, an E flat major scale, E flat, F, G, the G is the 3rd, but it's also the 10th. Okay, this can get very confusing. But anyway, the scale is just the E flat major scale. The root is here and the 10th is here. Still hesitant. That's it. So that's what we're using descending wise for the melody here, Blue Bossa. Now we change from what I'm using, which is the E flat major. Now we're modulating into D flat major. So really all it amounts to is I'm moving this whole thing down 2 frets, which is kind of hard to see, granted. Now comes a D minor 7 flat 5, and with this chord we're back into a 2-5-1 in C minor. Sorry. Okay, so again, just the idea of using tenths. Let's take a look at tenths going across the strings vertically. Again, let's go back to C major. It's always a good one to start something new with. Again, you can slow this down if you want to see more clearly. But here I'm starting on strings 6 and 3. I've got C on the 6th string. I've got my E, the 10th, the 3rd an octave higher, on the 3rd string. So we've got C and E, D and F. Now I'm on strings 2 and 5. We've got E and G. We've got F and A. Now I'm on strings 5 and 1. G and B. Strings 4 and 1 is A and C. B and D. Back to C and E. So even that's a nice sound. Again, the C major scale in tenths. the fact that the high note stops on the, or ends on the third. Just for additional practice and additional workout with the scale. These are the thirds we did earlier. This would be the C major scale in fourths, kind of veering off the topic of tenths right now, but just in terms of getting a workout with the scale. This is fourths. C to F, D to G. Try that again. If you did them harmonically, was on a good run. I should have quit while I was ahead. But yeah, that's fourths. And then there's a weird thing I like to do with fifths. Here's the C major scale in fifths. What I like to do is I like to do this pattern, which is play the root, play the G, the fifth above, and then go up to this A, come back down. So the first thing would be to get just used to the straight fifths. But here's the pattern. It's kind of hard to describe. At some point I might write it out, but basically here it is. Okay. So that was fifths. Let's take a look at some sixths. Again, in the C major scale, strings 6 and 4, C up to A, that's a 6. What happens to me. I'll go up in 6 and I come back in something else. So let me try that one more time. I have the ascending, so if you want to follow me on the ascending. So what are those notes? Those notes are E and C, which is a sixth. So where did I go wrong? I have no idea, but this is the E and C, D and B. I think that's where I went wrong right there. Anyway, that's sixth. Sevenths sound a little bit strange to me. Dissonant. That's the major seventh right there. Of course, we have octaves. So close. Try it again. I made the foolish mistake of playing them harmonically together. If you play them melodically, you have like an extra millisecond to think. Try that one more time. Ninths, I don't really care for the sound that much as far as using them to improvise. Doesn't do too much for me. But here's where we started out and here's where we'll wind up. It's the C major scale and it's in tenths. I'm on strings 3 and 6 again. Strings 5 and 2. Strings 5 and 1. And here's what I took that and moved it up to the key of E flat major, and that's how we wound up with. Now it changes from my underlying scale being E flat major to D flat major. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you got something out of it, at least maybe a familiarity with tenths, which kind of new to me and kind of fun. I love the way they sound. Let me know if you have any questions. Subscribe if you haven't already, and throw me a like if you found it useful or somehow amusing. Okay, I hope you have a great day. Take care.